When you feel like quitting, remember all of those who said you'd fail. When you feel like giving up, remember why you started.
That's just kind of the way that life works sometimes. It's Murphy's Law. When things go wrong, they always seem to happen at once, and they just compound on top of each other. And it's pretty easy sometimes to feel beaten when you're faced with all those issues and all those problems, and they all hit you at the same time. But let me tell you, that doesn't mean give up. In fact, it means the opposite. It means it's time for you to fight hard, to dig in. It means it's time for you to go on the warpath.
When you feel like giving up, don't. When you thinking about giving up, don't. When it look like you ain't gonna make it, keep going. When they tell you you can't, who are they? When they tell you you're not gonna make it, don't believe them, man. You got to be relentless.
What's the biggest problem? What's causing the most stress? Family? Okay. Sit them down. Explain where you are at. Be blunt, be upfront, and then give them the simple plan of how you're gonna get things back on track. Don't sugarcoat it. You give it to them straight. And then you get started. And I'm going to tell you right now, it won't be easy. It will be hard because life is hard. That's what life is. And these challenges that you face, they're going to do their best to take you down. Do not let them. Stand up, dig in. Line up those problems and confront them, face them, fight them. Do not let them bring you down. In fact, let those challenges raise you up. Let them elevate you. Let their demands and their trials make you stronger. Let the adversity you face today turn you into a better person tomorrow. So in the future, you look back at these struggles and you say to them, thank you. You made me better.
When you feel like quitting, remember all of those who said you'd fail. When you feel like giving up, remember why you started. When you feel like quitting, remember what you're doing it all for. When you feel like quitting, remember pain is temporary and greatness lasts forever.
When you feel like quitting, remember that the pain you feel today will be replaced with the strength you need tomorrow. Remember that every ounce of pain you feel is building a stronger you, a stronger body, a stronger mind, and a stronger character. So push through the pain. Don't let it stop you. Force it to grow you.
Don't back down from the pain. Face it. Feel no pain. There is no pain. That painful last rep, that's nothing. Give me more. Push harder.
Too tired, too hard, too busy, too early, too stressed. No excuses. excuses. Too busy, no excuses. Too early, no excuses. Too stressed, no excuses. When I feel like quitting, I remember there's too many people I need to prove wrong. When I feel like quitting, I remember I have too much to fight for. I will not quit.
Sleep in, they're for grandma. I'm up, I'm ready to go. Quitting, that's for those who have no heart. I do not quit. Your greatest physique, your greatest health, your greatest strength, it doesn't come with average effort. If you want average results, keep showing up and giving average effort. If you want to be at your best, you will have to give your best effort. Make an oath to yourself that you will not walk out of any training session, any game, anything without giving 110% of your soul. Whatever you think is your limit, push past it. Whatever you think is your max, see if you can get 10% more out. Results don't lie. It all comes down to one simple question. How bad do you want it? And when you feel like quitting, give me 10 more.
Nothing great is going to come if you quit. I know it's hard. I know you are tired. I know it seems impossible, but you must keep going. Stick it out and get your reward.
Giving up is the birth of regret. The reality of life is that we will all hear more no's than we hear yeses. In the summer of 2009, I was 19 years old, working a summer position at Target between my freshman and sophomore year at undergraduate school. I was working in the women's clothing department, and I noticed a lady staring at me from across the aisle. I figured she probably had a few screws loose, so I attempted to ignore her very intense stares. She eventually manages to make her way a little bit closer and closer to me where I was working until she eventually walks up to me and says hello. I say the famous Target quote, which is, "Hi, may I help you find something?" She then asks me, "Were you born in this country?" And I was immediately offended. And I said, "Yeah, I was born in this country." And then she says, "Do you have any kids?" I said, "No, I don't have any kids." She then asked me if I was married, and then I said, "No, ma'am, I am not married." She says, "How old are you?" I said, 19. "May I help you find something?" She then says, "You are the most beautiful girl I have seen." And I said, "Oh, thank you." I didn't work that much for my makeup, but I did the best I could, but thank you. And then she says, "I think you could be the next Miss USA." And I stare at her in pure disgust and said, "Pageants? You're telling me pageants, like Sandra Bullock, Miss Congeniality. Pageants? You think I should compete in pageants? I'm in the Army, okay? We don't do pageants in the Army." She then asked me to meet her at Starbucks the very next day before my next shift at Target. And she just wanted to do a little bit of explaining when it comes to what pageants is. And apparently I was a pretty open-minded 19-year-old because I actually agreed to meet her the very next day. The next day, she brought this foot-tall stack of pageant books and proceeds to convince me to enter into a state pageant 3 months later. For those who do not know, when it comes to Miss USA, you have to win your state first, okay? So 3 months later, I compete in my first pageant, and I lose. I go back the second year, compete in the state pageant, I lose. Go back the third year, compete in the state pageant, and lose. Go back the fourth year, compete in the same pageant, and lose. I go back the fifth year, y'all, compete in the state pageant and lose. But guess what? I go back the sixth year, guess what happens? I lose. I called her on the phone and said, "You told me I could be the next Miss USA." And she says, "Deshauna, keep working, don't quit, keep going back." And in June of 2015, she passes away from leukemia. 6 months later, in December 2015, I win Miss District of Columbia, USA. And 6 months after that, in June of 2016, I become the first soldier to win Miss USA. Giving up is the birth of regret. Giving up is something I did a lot of growing up, and I don't think I really challenged myself to stick anything through until I joined the track team in middle school. I remember having to ask my mom after tryouts and making it to the team for my very first pair of track shoes. Now, at the time, she walks into our house and she has a bag that has a nice Nike check sign on it, so I get excited because I wasn't getting new shoes very often. I go to take the shoe box out the bag and I notice that it says a size 9 on it. Mind you, in the 7th grade, I was a size 5. I open the box and I slide my feet into the shoe and I look at my mother and I said, "These shoes are too big." She says, "I know, I did that on purpose." I was like, "Why would you buy shoes that are too big on purpose, Mom?" And she says, "Because I know that you're going to grow into them." Coach has us line up on the starting line and he wants us to run a lap around the track. As we go to take off, I immediately fall to the ground, twist my ankle because the shoes are entirely too big. See, I couldn't run at the speed that I wanted to because I didn't fit the shoes I was wearing at the time. Now, many of us have goals we're trying to achieve, but the person we are right now is not the person that we need to be when we cross the finish line to our dreams. So we must walk and pace ourselves on this journey to our goals because we haven't grown enough in ourselves to fit the shoes that we need to achieve our aspirations. At times, our purpose drops in our laps as if the heavens threw it by accident. I ask only one thing of you all today.